Alright, need to draw this Master Sword out. Oh. By the power of Grayskull! What are you doing? I don't know. I just got this sword out and... Ooh, subscribe. Ugh, that's so bad. Alright, welcome to my channel. This is Jason, also known as Ominous Prime, and today we got a hand taped here to Hannibal. Fans Toys 40A. This is the first piece. Let's go ahead and get this open here and take a look at Cerebros in G1. And again, there's the hand. And there we have a look at Hannibal, the box. Hannibal, the box at the top. The back. If you want to pause and read that, you can. And you can see some nice images here. And there's Cerebros drawing out the Master Sword. And here is this fine plastic card. Very good. You can take a look at this crazy story of their version of Hannibal. Pause and read at your convenience. I'm not going to read this to you. It's a bit weird. All right. So we got a manual that does come with it. It's the FT-40A. This is the first part. This is the head for Fortress Maximus by third-party Fans Toys, and we can see all of the accessories that this will come with here, and you can customize it as you see fit, and that hand is designed to grab the sword out of the stand there. Alright, let's go ahead and get this open here. Take a look at the unboxing kind of bit by bit here. Here's the stand. Here's the alternate screaming face. Here's the Master Sword. An alternate face for Cerebros. Also screaming. We'll look at that later. Alright, let's go ahead and open this other end here. Let's see what's inside. And now this is the Japanese version for Cerebros, so this is not the rebirth version. And we have the gun. It'll come in the box here with Cerebros. We'll take a better look at that later. We also have here in the bag here this alternate wings for his head, and these would be alternate vents that go on the head as well. We'll take a look at that also later. And we can take the head right off here. It'll make it easier to get him out of the box. But it's a pretty nice head sculpt. All right. And you can see it's mistransformed out of the box. So that's typical of Fans Toys to go ahead and make it easier to go ahead and package. Make it possibly cheaper for shipping because you can use a smaller box. And all you have to do is adjust the hands, and you're going to flip the feet out of the bottom. And in case you're wondering, yes, the head is supposed to come off. This is a headmaster who turns into a head. All right, I got him emblemed up here as an Autobot. And here's the gun. It's back. It's painted. It's got speckled paint in here where it has like metal flakes, and those are the posts that will go into the hand. And there's a hole in the front. There's no blast effects that come with this one, but in the future maybe there will be something we can use. And we have the Master Sword here. And in continuity for the Japanese Headmaster series, this actually only connects on one side, unlike the gun. This sword is actually used by Cerebros. In great need, he's able to become the head of Fortress Maximus. Now, on the other hand, you can post it depending on how you want to have it. where it's towards the front would go in the right hand, pointing downward in the hand. It would, towards the back. You can put it in the left hand, but it extends out this way, which is pretty cool. And it's got great red paint on there. And let's go ahead and take a look here at how we would get the gun in, or we're going to start with the sword here, sorry. And as I'd mentioned, that's going to peg into the posts here. You gotta be careful to not wear the paint, because this is all fully painted as well. Just close the fingers around after you have it on the post, and he holds it just fine. And the gun has posts on both sides, so it doesn't matter which hand you want to use. You can go ahead and get it into the hand, just like you did with the sword. It's going to plug right into the hole. There we go. And they do a good job of making sure that these posts fit pretty well. So even if you left the hand open, it pretty much will sit pretty tight in there. All right. Sword has a little bit of weight to it. But he holds them just fine. All right, now here we have the display base. There's multiple functions to this. And on the bottom, you have storage here where you can keep the sword and keep the gun. However, I wouldn't do it because the way how it fits in there, you're more than likely going to rub paint off of your accessories. So I'd rather just store them in the box if I'm not going to use them, or just put it on top of the base where I would be able to see them, even though you can store it. This opens up here. This is to recreate how this would show in the Japanese Headmaster series that was made. You extend the blade here for the Master Sword. And the hand that came in the baggie, a lot of people lost theirs, not knowing that it was in the box, or it shipped outside of the box, but it was inside of the shipping box. You just slide that into the hand. That's all this hand is for, is so you can hold it in this kind of pose. And this is how the sword would have been displayed in the cartoon. And just imagine Cerebros attached to the end there, or from like the little short video I had in the beginning. And this is also a display where you can rest the head, and it just slides in between the arms on the back of the head. And you have your screaming face guy, upset that he doesn't have his body yet. This thing's massive. And as you can see, there's a lot of great detail on here, even though it may look like it's a simple, clean looking bot. In this particular case, we're looking at the alt mode and it's a head. Colors are a little different than it appears on the box, but that's all right. In the hand, it looks pretty good. I don't have the batteries for the light up feature for the eyes. And here are the original ones that comes packaged with. I took them off and replaced them already with the different vents, but that's what they're for. That's where they would go. So if you wanted the smooth ones, you can do that. I prefer the vents. It adds a little bit more detail. And so by getting these, you would just pull them right off, and then you can push the other ones in. And these are alternate fins to go for the head crest. These are the ones that come with it. They're smooth. And on the opposite side, there's a texture. So if you prefer to have this kind of a design for details, you can. I already switched out mine, and I went with the one that I preferred. And on these, on the other side, they actually have another set of patterns that you can use instead. And I got a little confusing when I initially got it out because I didn't know which side should be facing front. But this is what the other side looks like, in a little bit more detail. And so you really have a bunch of different options here to customize your Hannibal here, also known as Cerebros, and get the look that you desire out of it. So it's really cool. It's good to have all these different options. And the head, which is the headmaster, if you position the feet up like this, it allows for you to be able to rotate the head all the way around. You just need to be careful not to scrape the paint that's on the shoulders here because they stand up. If you leave the feet down, you're not going to be able to spin this head. Here, I'll show you what I mean. All right. So first, let's take a look at the head. You can see it's really nice and clean here. A lot of painted detail. Good choice for eye coloring. It really pops. I folded the feet up. We fold them down. It sits low, and then because of how the shoulder hits, you'll just end up ramming into it, so you won't really be able to move the head much. So it's better if you flip this up in this way, and then you'll be able to go and do that. Underneath here, we have these tabs. And I'll get over the tabs here in just a moment. I wanted to show you here that you can swap out the face easily. If for some reason you want to have Cerebros screaming all the time, you just go ahead and put that right there into this post, into that hole. It just slides right in, no problems, and securely it's in place. And now you got a screaming Cerebros head. Ah, if you want that. I know. Ah. Should be screaming while I'm taking his face off instead, but there you go. All right, so I prefer to have the original one. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you how to transform him. It's really easy, although it is really secure here. It's tight. You have these posts, right, that go into the shoulders here of the arms, and pegs right in there. You just push the feet up and twist them around to get them facing the correct way. They're on ball joints, and for some reason this left foot tends to pop out on me. Let's see if I can look out today and not have that happen. And the hands are secured, or the arms are secured into the back of the head there through a post. So it's really secure when you have it in head mode. Now the arm here that I have for the left arm, it's a little loose and it's a pin, so there's not really a way for me to tighten that. But it seems to be holding right now on camera, so I guess that's a good thing. Usually it's a little floppy. The head is on a it feels like a ball joint, but it's really tight and it's really small, so I'm not going to twist his head around. It's just, to me, it's not worth it. But let me see if we can get in close here so you can see that you can move it back and forth. Yeah, I'm not going to twist that because I'll end up pulling his head right off. There's a limited range here because of how it's designed, but I don't think you're going to be trying to do more than that. You got 90 degrees here. You get 90 degrees that way too. So if for some reason you want to show him with a broken arm, I guess you could. The legs kick up reasonably well. It doesn't go back much at all because of the face on the back of them. And it's pretty stiff joints here on the legs, so that's good. You have, like I mentioned, a ball joint here, so you get some movement if you need to tilt it. It's very narrow, so I wouldn't play around too much with that. See, I told you it's going to come out. So it's not hard to put back in. It just snaps right back into the joint here. You just slide it in, and it'll go right back in. So it's not a big deal. It's just, it keeps coming out. So if you have some floor polish, if it bothers you enough, you can go ahead and put that on there if you need to. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get them back into head mode. And by the way, this part of Cerebros in the cartoon is Spike. He becomes a headmaster, and the Japanese version and the American version are very different in the storytelling. Unfortunately, it's not one that came to the West, so we don't have a good translation of the original Japanese show. There are some fan dubs that were done online for some of the episodes, and they're not that great, but they're better than nothing. So if you want to, you can always check YouTube and see if you can track down the episodes if you want to see it. All right, now the face I forgot to show is when you are in bot mode, you can actually flip that around so you don't have to see the face. It's an extra step, but you can do that if you wish. It's a little tight, so I'm probably not going to mess with that too much. All right, and there's one other gimmick that was popular with headmasters, and that's the tech specs that pop up in the chest. So you can see when there's no head, it's like there's no life, and that's how it is in the Japanese version. So for him to get life, you need to put Spike in, and once you line that up, those posts I was telling you about, they bring up the bars here, and when Cerebros is even leveled there and is reacting to the cries of his other Autobots, he can go ahead and draw the Master Sword and pull that out. And for the range of movement, you can get the shoulders all the way around and out. It's no problem there. We have a bicep swivel. The joints are really stiff on this. And you get more than 90 degrees here in a single joint. I think that's about as much as you really need. It's a good range. You can get most poses out of that. You get your wrist swivel, of course. And the hands are done really well here with Fans Toys. Every finger, every knuckle is articulated. You have the post that we showed earlier, but you can also hinge it in and out, which is also great. And I'm just going to ball it back up into a fist. Like I said, the joints are really stiff on this guy. We get the nice T pose. And let's go and take a look at the waist. You do get an ab crunch. This doesn't touch when you get in the ab crunch, which is good. If you lift it up, you get more range. But if you don't lift it up, then it's going to hit, which can cause some scraping. But if you use the ab crunch and twist, you get more of an angle that you can use. If you lift it all the way up, you can go all the way as much as you need. It's kind of cheating it, but you can go ahead and get the poses that you want out of that. These side hip skirts don't really move that far out of the way. The front moves, and there's no hip skirts in the back that move at all whatsoever. So up front, you get this far, which is a good range. You only get about this far back. And you can kick this front. If you use the ab crunch, you can make it look like he's got a larger range of motion there. And you get about this far before it's going to start to possibly rub the paint on the legs. So I don't advise trying to go further than that. It's possible, I'll take a look at it later, if you were to collapse the hip skirts in, you might be able to get a little bit more range. I don't know if it's going to be worth it, but I'll take a look at it later. You get 90 degrees here bend at the knee. I would prefer to have more, but it's a really good solid joint there to where it's not going to just flop around on you. It's a little disappointing here on the toe. You get a little bit up. You get a lot of it down because it's part of the transformation. It'll just fold in on itself, but not much of a rocker on this one. So it's a little sad. But overall, It's a good range of motion. You can get pretty much what you need out of it. The head can pop off on. Mine's not as bad as some of the other ones I've seen online where the head just goes rocketing off and you got to go find it. Um, Mine doesn't have that issue of where it's constantly just jumping off. All right, so the hip skirts, it's not really gonna go here. I'll try it in transformation and see if I can get it in place here and see if it gives you any additional range of motion. All right, so let's go ahead and get into transformation. You flip the arm or the forearm open so you can flip that in, and then you just push that in. You do that on both sides. I like leaving them in a T pose so it's easier to go ahead and get access to everywhere I need to get to. Rotate down here, and you're gonna, yeah, there. Go ahead and open it up right here in the chest. What this will do is allow us to go ahead and pull these towards the center by first pulling them outward at the shoulders like this. Do that on both sides, and then you're going to rotate them in. And you'll see that there's two offset tabs, and they'll go into the corresponding gaps there to go ahead and seal this up. When you do this, this unlocks the forehead piece that's over here, this gray piece. It's got a couple knobs, but this will allow you to now move it down and expose the face. There's a center piece that needs to fold up. In order to do that, you're going to have to use your thumb to go ahead and kind of push it out of the way. And with the legs extended down from like that ab crunch area, this will allow you to move the forehead piece once you have that out of the way further up, so you can get access to go ahead and move this. Now, if you move it all the way forward and have it even like this, when you try to push the head crest down, or the forehead part of the top of the head down, it's not going to go. So you're going to need a little bit of an angle like this. So now you can go ahead and push that in and use your fingers on the inside to push it forward. So now it lays flat as you want it and completes the shape there for the top of the head. All right, so this is really where all the work is going to be, is in the legs. And before we get there, we're going to go ahead and rotate this up here for the hip skirt. And we're going to go ahead and fold this in. This was really tight the first time I did this because there was a lot of paint buildup. So you can rotate this back down, and then you're going to push it in. Now let me check that range of motion. Okay, you get a little bit more. I don't know if it's worth it to bother, but yeah, you get a little bit of range. It's not going to really help you much in bot mode, so it's not worth messing with. So you would squeeze this in until it's flushed like that, and you have this sticking out here. It's like a guide. So flip it up so you can go ahead and push this in. Make sure you get it all the way down. If you don't get it all the way down, it's not going to tuck in. So be careful not to push it in early. Okay, now you can rotate it down and then push it in. Like that. You'll have a satisfying click when you do it. All right, so I like to splay the legs out, and then you unsecure it with these tabs. There's a lot of die-cast metal in this, by the way, so it's a little heavy when you're trying to manipulate these. But the joints are really stiff on here. They're really strong. And you're going to go ahead and untuck this. I mentioned that because you won't feel any fear of other parts breaking off while you're holding onto the legs like this. Okay, so you fold this out, and you're going to fold this up and then you're going to rotate it outward. And that'll sit in this way. See this tab here? You don't want to push it all the way in. You want to put it in, I would say, maybe about 45 degrees. If you go further than that, you're going to have a hard time getting that tab back out when you need to unfold it. There's no way to get access to it once it's in. I found that out the hard way my first time. So you flip this out and you slide it in. I'll show you again. You pull it out, roll it around, and then slide it into place. And then you're going to rotate this into place right there. And then you're going to have to collapse it in. And I missed a step here. Okay, see this tab? You're going to want to fold this in. And now you can collapse it into place. Before you can do this, though, you're going to need to rotate at the hip so that this will be in place to close around the side of the head. And I haven't done that yet, so let me go ahead and extend this. And at the hips, there's an extra joint here that you'll be able to move around. And this is the position you want it in before you try to collapse it. Just be careful with the head crest, and you need to be mindful to not scrape the paint while you're doing this. And hopefully when I get to the other leg, it'll be much more smooth in how this is executed. All right, so we'll have this one leg in place here, and then let's go ahead and get to the other side and get this one done. And before I work on this, I'm going to fold this in so I don't forget this time. And you just give it a pull. It'll come apart. Fans Toys is known for its quality of build, so you're not likely to manhandle it too much to where it's just going to fall apart on you. So you're going to rotate it again away from the leg so it faces up, because if you try to rotate it the other way, it's not going to go. Remember, only fold it in about maybe 45 degrees or so you'll be able to get that fold back out. Fold this out, slide it over, and we're going to go ahead and bend at this joint after we rotate it around so we have it oriented properly. And you're going to collapse this, and then again, be careful of the paint, and then you're just going to squeeze it into place. All right. You have to line this up just perfect, otherwise it's not going to go. I know MGO, he talks about the difficulties of doing this on camera. It looks like it's my turn that this is happening to me. It's usually not too difficult to do. And this is going to collapse in, so you just have to rock it in and it'll just slide right into place. And if you forgot, like I did here, to rotate this in, you can do that now. It's fine. So now we're going to line this up here with this post. And this tab is going to go into the slot down here. So you just roll it down into place. Just make sure you have it lined up. I like to connect it down here first, and then match up with the post here afterwards and just squeeze it in after. But this is the hardest part, is getting this part to match up first, and then you push in on the post. There we go. Nice and secure. Make sure we have that in place properly. And do the same on this side, to post to that hole, and this into that slot. And match it up. And I like to reach in and just push it in like that and make sure the hole is matched up with the post, and then it's just a matter of lining it up and then giving it a squeeze. There you go. All right. Now the back here, this doesn't actually secure to anything back here. It's just kind of floppy. Fortunately, you have these slots here. They're going to go onto these posts, and this is what will hold it into place. So once you have that locked in, it's actually pretty solid. It's not going to flop around on you. All right, so there we have it. We have head mode established here. Looks really good. This humongous head. It's a little unsightly up here. I don't have it quite aligned correctly here, and it's hard to twist it like this. So I have to fix this, otherwise it's going to bother me. Hold on a sec. And it's a little rare for fans toys to actually be as forgiving if you mess up the alignment, but it does so here. And under here on the face, this is how you swap it out. There's an indentation here, so you can get a spudger or your thumbnail in underneath here. Just be careful of the paint. It's actually easier if you get both sides out. And this is where the battery would go to light up the eyes. I don't have the battery for it, but this is the button that would activate the eyes. And when you have this in place, the button is actually the chin piece. You just push that in, and that would activate the lights. I may wait until if I ever manage to get the body that goes with this. That's coming down some point in the future, if they ever make it. I think the entire thing would be about 4 feet tall. That's just my guess. Now, for some comparisons, we got skids here. That's Masterpiece from Takara Tomy. And you can see that's a pretty big head. And we also have here this is a Superator. That's from Gigapower. It's their Grimlock. And Grimlock is huge, but that head is still pretty big compared. And for another comparison here, we have MP-44. Also from Takara Tomy, you know him as Optimus Prime. It's a Masterpiece, and it's a pretty big head. Talking to Optimus Prime there, or screaming at him. But you can see it's pretty big scale. And with the screaming face, let's go ahead and get him transformed back into bot mode. I'm going to go ahead and take the screaming face off because that's not my preference. I prefer more of a silent Fortress Maximus, not a panicky looking one. And the button here, it presses a little bit different than the other one to light up the eyes. Again, I don't have the battery for it, so we're not going to see the light up eyes today. But the paint on the eyes is really good. So even with the absence of having the lights behind the eyes, it still looks good enough. And it just slides right back into place. Easier access once you have it open like this. All right, so I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here because you can't really do the legs first. I know that's effectively going into bot mode. I'm just getting things into position here so to make it easier to go. I don't have, like if you're trying to access the leg, you won't have the room until you get this disengaged. So the first step actually, other than getting that disconnected here to open up the legs, is actually disconnect the arms from that post, and now you can get the waist to extend out so that you can pull this. Once you have that done, then you can go ahead and open up the legs again, and then extend the foot out and rotate this inward, and collapse it out like this, and it's going to roll in on itself. And remember to open this up first because you need that to clip the leg together. And that post I was telling you about that you want to have at a 45-degree angle, there's a little bit of flash here that I use to try and rotate it out. As you can see, if you have a spudger, you can reach in there and get at it. But if you had it flat, you would have a hard time getting at it. And you just slide the heel, or it's a vent, but if you left it out, it would work like a heel. If you, for some reason, need the additional stability, and then you just rotate this in and just slide it close. You can leave it out in bot mode if you wanted to, but I don't. It stands pretty well on its own. Now this you'll have to adjust as needed because it's got to get over that, so you can go ahead and close this. And once that vent's in there, it can be kind of a challenge. So make sure everything is nice and flat in there, and it should go like this. All right, so you're going to go ahead and fold this panel down and connect it. And you need to rotate the leg again. There you go. And this side skirt just slides out, and then you're going to flip up. It's a lot easier than it was going in. And then you just fold it back down into place. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side here in just a moment. So open it up, pull it out, flip that up, rotate this in, and then fold it out. And this is going to collapse in here in just a moment. Go ahead and get the foot out, and then you can fold this vent in. And a little bit of flash here allows me to use my nail to go and rotate this forward, so I can go and flip this flap out. Rotate that into place, and then fold this in, and then slide it down to collapse that. And again, just be careful when you're folding this in to make sure you have enough clearance, and then you'll be able to squeeze this together. And then rotate this up and just push that slot together, and then we're going to rotate it around and align it, and then you're going to pop out the side skirt, slides out, and then you're going to flip up this flap to form the side skirt. And just fold it down. Once you have it popped out, this one's sticking here, so have it out, flip this up, and then rotate it back down into place. All right, I'm going to rotate the waist. Okay, now because this is extended out now like this, now you have the range of motion to go ahead and detach that from the center piece. Move this up and out of the way, and then you can rotate that in, and then you can rotate this up. And you just collapse the waist. All right, like that. Now it's important you do this in order, otherwise you're going to have a problem with this knob that's there as part of the upper head part. You're going to split this apart. And you're going to go ahead and collapse this in on the post there. That's part of the upper head. And up here, there's a tab that's going to go into that slot. So you just need to match that up and then push in to collapse the shoulder into the torso. And you'll see that the slot or nub is now in the right slot. And you're going to do the same on this side. You can see it's just going to collapse right on top of that to hold it into place. And it just collapses right in, and you're going to take these posts and put them in the holes here. This is supposed to be at an angle, so just remember that. It doesn't slide in. And you just squeeze it. Everything's good. And in the forearms, you're going to open them up so you can rotate the fists out. There's a groove here that you're going to go ahead and slot into this post here that's in the inside of the forearm, and that'll hold everything into place. And you can do the same on the other side. Just open this up, rotate it out, and collapse it. Then you can extend the hands and pose it how you want. Fans Toys does such a good job with creating these. And I know that they've been going up in price, but the quality is really good. And if you wanted to use the other hand, you would just go ahead and undo these screws. And then you can pop this hand into the ball joint there. It's a little scary, so I don't like doing it very much, but it just connects and pops right in. The hard part is getting it to pop back off. Since the regular hands just use screws, it's a bit easier to deal with. And you just connect the head, just line it up, and then it just slides right in, no problem. And like I mentioned before, just be careful when you're spinning it. For more size comparisons, we have Grimlock here. And let's go ahead and get him in the frame here so you can see how beautiful that Gigapower is. I know a lot of you out there probably have the Fans Toys one, but I preferred the Gigapower Dinobots just for the sheer size and presence that they have on the shelf. And man, he's huge. But I think it's a good good proportions there. And we have FT-40A Prime. They're about the same height, so they go well together. And we have Skids here. And I can't remember his name right now off the top of my head. I've been joking around that he's Orion Pax, and if you give him the Matrix, and he becomes Optimus Prime because they have such a similar head sculpt. But you can see with the Carbots, he kind of towers over them. Fans Toys has been doing like their own kind of scale, so it's a little bit different. But Gigapower also does their own scale. But you can see they all look good together. So I do like that they all kind of go together. And that's how I like my collection. I collect from different groups. But if you like this one, I'm going to put it in the link below. I got mine from the Chosen Prime. And don't forget to subscribe. And that's it for FT Hannibal. I recommend it. And we'll see you next time.